They say an Omega's touch can heal any wound, mine leaves nothing but decay. So when Alpha King Darien collapsed at my feet during the lunar ceremony, bleeding silver from his eyes, I knew my 5-year secret was about to destroy us both. The courtyard erupted into chaos. Wolves shifted mid-scream. Guards charged forward. Someone knocked over the ceremonial brazier, and flames licked at the stone altar where moments ago, the king had been blessing the autumn harvest. Now he writhed on the ground, convulsing, that impossible silver liquid streaming from his eyes like mercury tears. Healer. The head guard's voice cracked across the panic. Someone get a healer. Every face turned toward me. Of course they did. I wore the white robes. I carried the herbs. For 3 years, I'd stitched wounds and set bones and delivered babies, all while making sure no one looked too closely at the Omega who never quite seemed to heal anyone with her touch anymore. I stood frozen, my hands locked at my sides. Sarah. My sister Maya's voice, sharp with fear. She was pushing through the crowd, her young face pale. Sarah, help him. The king's back arched. His fingers clawed at the stones. Around us, the most powerful alphas in the kingdom stood useless, their wolves whining in distress at their leader's agony. I couldn't move. Because they didn't know what I'd done to myself. What I'd become. 5 years ago, I discovered my gift, the rarest, most forbidden ability an Omega could possess. I could forge mate bonds. Not the sacred bonds the moon goddess designed, but artificial ones, puppeting connections between wolves who weren't meant for each other. The penalty for such an abomination was death by silver. So I'd made another choice. Every morning for 5 years, I'd swallowed wolfsbane tea. Just enough to poison my gift. Just enough to make my healing touch corrupt and useless. Just enough to slowly kill the dangerous thing inside me. Move. The head guard shoved past me, but I caught his arm. Don't touch him. If this is silver poisoning, skin contact could spread it. It wasn't silver poisoning. I didn't know what it was. But I needed seconds to think, and fear bought me those seconds as everyone stepped back. The king's eyes rolled back. His breath rattled. He was dying. I looked at Maya. 16 years old, her whole life ahead of her. If I let him die, they'd execute every healer who'd been present. Including her, she was my apprentice. If I touched him, my poisoned essence would transfer into him. He'd feel the wrongness in me. Worse, with his alpha senses, he might sense exactly what I'd been hiding. But Maya was watching me with those trusting eyes. The king's chest stopped moving. Damn it. I dropped to my knees beside him, pressing my palms to his chest. His skin burned like fever, but something else was wrong, something that made my wolf recoil inside me, the part of her that wasn't corrupted by 5 years of poison. I closed my eyes and let my gift unfurl. It felt like rotted flowers blooming. Like something beautiful that had gone to mold. The healing energy that should have flowed pure from my hands came out sick and twisted, carrying the wolfsbane corruption with it. I felt the moment it entered him. The king's eyes snapped open, pure black, no whites at all. His hand shot up and locked around my wrist, grip bruising. Then something happened that I'd never experienced. Never even heard of. The bond didn't just forge, it snapped into place like a bear trap, vicious and complete. Not the gentle recognition of true mates, but a brutal claiming. My poisoned wolf essence poured into him, and his alpha power surged back into me, and suddenly we were connected by something dark and hungry and absolutely unnatural. His wolf rose behind those black eyes. And it knew me. You, he gasped. His voice was gravel and smoke. I know you. I've been dreaming of you. That was impossible. I'd never met the king before tonight. I'd made sure of it, staying in the outer territories, avoiding the capital. You're in my memories, he continued, sitting up with predatory grace despite nearly dying seconds ago. Memories I don't have anymore. Memories someone took from me. Ice flooded my veins. The crowd was silent now, watching this bizarre exchange. The king's guards stood ready, hands on weapons, confused about whether I'd saved or harmed their leader. I tried to pull away. His grip tightened. "What did you do to me?" he demanded. "What are you?" Silver was no longer bleeding from his eyes, but something worse had replaced it: recognition. Understanding. His wolf was tasting my essence through our twisted bond, and I could feel him unraveling what I was. "I healed you," I said evenly. "You're welcome. You poisoned me." His nostrils flared. "You're full of wolfsbane. You're corrupted." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "She saved your life," Maya's voice rang out, defiant and scared. My sister stepped forward. "Whatever happened, Sarah saved you when no one else could." The king's eyes never left mine. "Why would a healer poison herself?" "Because I'm something worse than a healer," I wanted to say. "Because I'm an abomination who can twist the goddess's design, and I'd rather slowly kill myself than become the weapon someone would inevitably try to make me into." "Instead," I said, "release me. Now." To my surprise, he did. But as I scrambled back, I felt the bond between us, that sick, unnatural connection. It pulsed like an infected wound. He felt it too. I saw the recognition in his expression. "Seize her," the king said quietly. The guards moved instantly. I ran. My wolf gave me speed even poisoned as she was. I shifted mid-leap, my white fur matted and dull from years of toxin, and bolted through the crowd. Screams erupted. Someone grabbed for me. I snapped at their hand and kept running. Behind me, I heard the king's roar, felt it through our bond like a fishhook in my chest. "Find her. Find the Omega who attacked your king." Attacked. The word would seal my fate faster than any truth. I crashed through the ceremonial gardens, leaping over the hedge maze. My sister's anguished cry followed me, "Sarah, no." I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Because I felt the king in my head now, searching through our corrupted bond. He was alpha enough, powerful enough, that he could trace it back to its source. He was hunting me through the connection I'd accidentally forged. And worse, far worse, I felt his wolf's recognition sharpening into memory. Whatever had been taken from him, whatever lost memories he'd mentioned, my poisoned touch had stirred them awake. He was starting to remember. To remember me. In a life I'd never lived. I ran until the ceremony lights faded behind me, until the forest swallowed me whole, until my poisoned body finally collapsed in a ravine miles from the capital. And as darkness took me, I felt the king's consciousness brushing against mine through our twisted bond, felt him learning my secrets one corrupted heartbeat at a time. My last thought before unconsciousness claimed me: what did I do in a life I can't remember? And what will he do to me when he finds out? Chapter 2. Darian woke to agony. Not the clean pain of a wound or the burn of silver. This was something rotten, festering beneath his skin like infection. He could taste it, bitter herbs and decay, crawling through his veins with every heartbeat. And underneath the poison, threaded through it like roots through soil, was her. The Omega. Sarah. Her scent flooded his senses, winter frost and wild sage, underlaid with the chemical bite of wolfsbane. But it was more than scent. He could feel her, a presence lodged behind his ribs like a splinter working toward his heart. When he concentrated, he sensed her pain, her exhaustion, her terror. The bond hummed between them, sick and wrong in there. "Your Majesty." His beta, Marcus, stood at the bedside, gray eyes worried. "You've been unconscious for 6 hours. The physicians. Where is she?" Darian's voice came out as a growl. Marcus didn't pretend not to understand. "They found her collapsed near the eastern border. She's in the dungeon cells, heavily guarded. Darian, the council is demanding her execution. They're calling it an assassination attempt. It should have been simple. An Omega had poisoned the king during a sacred ceremony. Justice was clear. But when Darian tried to imagine ordering her death, the bond screamed. Pain lanced through his chest, sharp enough to make him gasp. His wolf, the ancient, powerful creature that had ruled beside him for 15 years, went nearly feral at the thought. Ours, it snarled. Ours. Protect. It wasn't an assassination, Darian ground out, fighting for control. She healed me. Whatever happened in that courtyard, I was dying, and she saved my life. By creating a corrupted mate bond? Marcus's voice was carefully neutral, but his scent carried disapproval. The physicians confirmed it. The bond is there, but it's wrong. Poisoned. It shouldn't be possible. Darian knew. He could feel the wrongness with every breath. True mate bonds were gifts from the moon goddess, pure, sacred, inevitable. This thing between him and the Omega felt like a parody, a bond forged in toxin and desperation instead of destiny. And yet his wolf claimed her anyway. I want to see her, Darian said, swinging his legs off the bed. His body protested, weakness flooding through him. The poison was still there, still spreading. That's not advisable. Now, Marcus. His beta's jaw tightened, but he nodded. The council meeting is in 3 hours. They're expecting a public execution. Then I'll give them something else. They'd put her in the deep cells, the ones reserved for the worst traitors. Darian descended the stone stairs with Marcus flanking him, ignoring the concerned looks from the guards. With each step closer to her, the bond grew stronger, and the pain in his chest eased fractionally. His wolf paced inside him, agitated and possessive. She was in the last cell, curled on the stone floor. Even unconscious, she looked fragile. Too thin, her white blonde hair matted with dirt and sweat. The silver chains binding her wrists glowed faintly, suppressing her wolf. The sight of those chains sent rage flooding through him so intense he nearly shifted right there. Remove them, he ordered. Your Majesty, that's not. Remove them. The guard fumbled with the keys. The moment the silver fell away from her skin, Sarah's eyes snapped open, the palest blue he'd ever seen, almost colorless. She scrambled backward until she hit the wall, breath coming in short gasps. You, she whispered. Me, Darian agreed. He crouched outside the bars, studying her. Up close, he could see the toll the wolfsbane had taken, the grayish tinge to her skin, the tremor in her hands, the dark circles beneath her eyes. How long have you been poisoning yourself? 5 years. Her voice was hoarse. Long enough. Long enough for what? She laughed, bitter and sharp. To make sure I never hurt anyone again. The words hit him strangely, resonating with something in the memories that shouldn't exist. Dreams he'd been having for months, a girl with pale eyes, running through snow. A village burning. Screaming. Tell me what you are, he said quietly. You already know. She met his gaze, defiant despite the fear in her scent. Your wolf knows. I can feel it through the bond. I want to hear you say it. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, I can forge mate bonds. Artificial ones, between wolves who aren't fated. It's forbidden. Abomination. The penalty is death. Marcus inhaled sharply. That's not possible. That gift died out. 200 years ago, Sarah finished. I know. I've read every text in existence about it. Doesn't change what I am. Darian studied her, pieces falling into place. That's why you poisoned yourself. To suppress the gift. To kill it, she corrected. But apparently I didn't poison myself quite enough, because when I touched you. She trailed off, looking away. You created the bond anyway. Not intentionally. I tried to heal you, but the wolfsbane corrupted everything. Instead of healing energy, you got 5 years of accumulated poison and a twisted bond that should never exist. Her hands fisted in her lap. So just execute me and be done with it. At least then the bond might break before it kills you. It's killing me. She looked up sharply. You can't feel it? The poison spreading through you every time your heart beats? Every time the bond pulls tighter? Her eyes glistened. I saved your life just to kill you slower. That's what I do. That's why I stayed away from everyone, why I made myself into something useless and broken. Because everything I touch turns to Sarah. Her name stopped her spiral. Tell me why you really poisoned yourself. What happened 5 years ago? Her face shuddered. That's not relevant. The hell it's not. You're about to die for attacking a king, and you're hiding something that might. I killed them. The words exploded out of her. Everyone in my village. Everyone I loved. I killed them all because I didn't know what I was, because I thought I was helping. Silence crashed through the dungeon. Sarah's breath came ragged now, and Darian could feel her anguish through the bond, sharp enough to cut. His wolf whined, desperate to comfort her. His name was Victor, she continued, voice hollow. Alpha of a neighboring pack. He came to my village looking for a mate, but his wolf rejected every eligible female. So he asked me, the village healer's apprentice, if there was any way to help him find his fated mate. I was 17 and stupid, and I just started feeling this ability. This power to sense connections between wolves. She pulled her knees to her chest, making herself smaller. I thought I was doing something beautiful. I touched his hand and reached for the bond one sensed between him and a girl from his own pack. I was just going to strengthen what was already there, help them recognize each other. Her voice broke. But I created something else instead. Something forced and wrong. His wolf accepted it because I'd made it feel real, but underneath, it was rotting him from the inside out. Darian's stomach turned. He knew where this was going. Within a month, he'd gone mad. Possessive, violent, paranoid. He killed the girl he thought was his mate. Then he came for me, convinced I was the real mate and I'd tricked him. When the village tried to protect me. She swallowed hard. He slaughtered them. 37 people. Including my parents. Including the alpha I'd accidentally bonded him to. Gods, Marcus breathed. So I ran. And I found every text about my gift I could, learned what I was, understood what I'd done. Then I started drinking wolfsbane tea every morning. She looked up at Darian, eyes empty. Better to poison myself into uselessness than risk creating another monster. The dungeon felt too small suddenly, the air too thick. Darian understood now. Understood why she'd mutilated her own gift, why she'd looked so terrified when the bond snapped into place between them. She thought she'd created another Victor. I'm not going to go mad, he said quietly. You don't know that. Victor seemed fine at first too. I'm not some backwoods alpha who couldn't handle a forced bond. I've been Alpha King for 15 years. My wolf is already being corrupted, she interrupted. I can feel it through the bond. The poison spreading. Soon you'll start losing control. You'll become paranoid, violent. You'll. Sarah. He kept his voice gentle. Breathe. She stopped, chest heaving. I'm not executing you, Darian said. And I'm not letting you die in this cell. Then what? The council wants justice. They want to see you punished. He straightened. So I'm going to give them something that looks like punishment but gives us time to figure out how to break this bond without killing both of us. There is no breaking it. Once forged, everything can be undone. We just need time. He turned to Marcus. Bring her upstairs. Clean her up, feed her, put her in one of the guest rooms. Your Majesty, the council. I'll handle the council. Sarah stood shakily. What are you planning? Darian smiled without humor. You're going to become my personal healer. Bound to me by royal decree until your debt is paid. That's not punishment, that's servitude for life, he finished. Close enough to a death sentence to satisfy the council, but keeps you alive and close enough that we can work on fixing whatever you did to both of us. He paused. And it protects your sister. Sarah's face went white. Maya. Where is she? Currently under house arrest. The council wants to charge her as your accomplice. At her stricken expression, he continued, accept my offer, and I'll ensure she goes free. No charges, no investigation. She'll be safe. You're blackmailing me. I'm giving you a choice. Accept the position, or I let the council have both of you. He could feel her hatred through the bond, hot and sharp. Good. He'd rather have her furious than broken. Fine, she spat. I'll be your healer. Your prisoner. My salvation, he corrected softly. Before she could respond, footsteps echoed down the stairs. A guard appeared, breathing hard. Your Majesty, forgive the interruption. Lady Vivian has arrived at court. She's demanding to see you immediately. Marcus swore under his breath. Darian's jaw tightened. Vivian. His arranged mate, chosen by the council 3 years ago. They'd been negotiating the formal mating ceremony for months. Tell her I'll see her at the council meeting, Darian said. She's already in the throne room, my lord. With half the council. They've been briefed on last night's incident. Of course they had. The council would use this as ammunition, push for Vivian to complete the bond and stabilize his rule. They'd been pressuring him for years to take an official mate. Darian glanced at Sarah. She'd gone very still, understanding dawning on her face. You have an arranged mate, she said slowly. And I just created a competing bond. It's handled. No, it's not. She'll sense it the moment she's near you. Any wolf with alpha blood will sense it. Sarah shook her head. The council won't just want me executed now. They'll demand it. An Omega creating a false bond with a king who already has a chosen mate? That's not just forbidden, that's treason. She was right. Damn it, she was right. Then we'll deal with it, Darian said. Together. There is no together. There's you, a king with responsibilities, and me, an abomination who should never have touched you. The bond pulsed between them, and suddenly Darian felt something shift. The poison in his veins seemed to surge, spreading faster. His vision blurred at the edges. Your Majesty. Marcus's hand on his arm. Darian, what's wrong? He could feel it, the wrongness accelerating. Something about his stress, his anger, was feeding the corruption. The poison, he gritted out. It's getting worse. Sarah moved without thinking, pressing through the cell bars to reach him. Her hand touched his face, and the bond flared. For just a moment, the poison receded, pushed back by whatever connection they shared. But only for a moment. When she pulled away, the corruption came roaring back worse than before. No, Sarah whispered, understanding flooding her face. No, that's not possible. What? Marcus demanded. What's happening? Sarah looked at Darian, and he saw his own death sentence reflected in her eyes. The bond is trying to complete itself, she said numbly. Every time we're apart, every time we're in conflict, it feeds the poison. It's trying to force us together, to make the bond permanent. Her voice shook. The only way to stop the poison from killing you is to fully complete the mate bond. The bite. The claiming. All of it. No, Darian said immediately. You'll die if we don't. I'll find another way. There is no other way. She grabbed his shirt, desperation overriding fear. Don't you understand? I created a bond that's half alive, half dead. It's rotting you from the inside out, trying to either complete itself or kill you. Those are the only two options. Then I'll die, Darian said flatly. I won't force you into a permanent bond. Not after what you've been through. You're willing to die rather than become another victor? Yes. They stared at each other, the bond screaming between them, the poison spreading. Marcus cleared his throat. There's one more thing you should know. Darian didn't look away from Sarah. What? The wolfsbane poison she's been taking. The specific combination she's using. Marcus's voice was strained. I've seen it before. Your mother used the exact same formula. That got Darian's attention. What? Queen Alara. She poisoned herself with that same mixture for 20 years before she died. Marcus met his gaze. She was hiding something too. And whatever secret she kept, it drove her mad in the end. The words hung in the air like a curse. Sarah pulled back slowly, horror dawning on her face. Your mother had my gift. She was a bond forger. That's impossible. My mother was hiding it. Just like me. Sarah's hand went to her throat. The madness at the end, the paranoia, the way she kept saying someone was coming for her. That wasn't madness. That was the long-term effects of wolfsbane poisoning combined with suppressing a gift that powerful for decades. Darian's world tilted. His mother, the legendary Queen Alara, had spent his entire childhood slowly poisoning herself. Had spent 20 years suppressing the same forbidden gift that Sarah carried. She took memories from you, Sarah continued, pieces falling into place. That's why you recognized me in dreams you shouldn't have. That's why you said I was in memories you'd lost. Your mother erased something, hid something, and used her gift to do it. Why would she? To protect you, Sarah whispered. From me. From what I am. Before Darian could process that, footsteps echoed again, multiple sets this time, accompanied by the rustle of silk and the sharp scent of expensive perfume. Lady Vivian appeared at the base of the stairs, flanked by council members. She was beautiful as always, dark hair, sharp features, confidence radiating from every pore. Her eyes found Darian first. Then dropped to where Sarah's hand still rested against his chest. The temperature in the dungeon plummeted. Well, Vivian said, voice like poisoned honey. Isn't this cozy? She took a step forward, and Darian felt Sarah tense against him. Through the bond, he sensed her terror spike. Because Vivian's wolf was rising behind her eyes, scenting the air. Scenting the bond. My king, Vivian said softly, dangerously. Would you like to explain why you reek of another Omega's claim? The council members behind her shifted, sensing blood in the water. Darian straightened, putting himself between Vivian and Sarah without thinking. The movement was instinctive, protective. A mistake. Vivian's eyes narrowed to slits. You've bonded with her. It's not what you think. Really? Because what I think is that some poisoned Omega has compromised the Alpha King days before our formal mating ceremony. Her gaze shifted to Sarah, and something cruel flickered in her expression. The council should hear about this. Immediately. Lady Vivian, Marcus started. Save your excuses, Beta. She turned on her heel. Council meeting. Now. And bring the prisoner. Let's see what our esteemed advisors think about an Omega who dares to touch what's already claimed. She swept up the stairs, council members following. Darian looked at Sarah. She'd gone pale, trembling. She's going to have me executed, Sarah whispered. Not because of what I am, but because I'm a threat to her position. I won't let that happen. You can't stop it. She's your arranged mate. The council will side with her. Sarah met his gaze, resigned. This is how it ends. Not with your death, but with mine. Through the bond, Darian felt the poison surge again, stronger this time, feeding on her despair. He had perhaps 3 days before it killed him. 3 days to figure out how to save an Omega who tried to save him, break a corrupted bond that was killing them both, and uncover whatever secrets his mother had died protecting. Marcus, he said quietly. Get her cleaned up and prepared for the council meeting. And find me everything we have on Queen Alara's final years. Every document, every letter, every servant's testimony. What are you looking for? The truth, Darian said, watching Sarah. About what my mother was hiding. About why she erased my memories of Sarah. He paused. And about what really happened to Victor's village 5 years ago. Because through the bond, underneath Sarah's fear and guilt and self-loathing, he could feel something else. A lie. Something about her story didn't add up, some detail she'd skipped or twisted. His wolf sensed it, insisted on it. Whatever had really happened in that village, it wasn't the simple tragedy she described. And Darian had a feeling that truth was the key to everything, the bond, the poison, his mother's secrets. He just had to survive long enough to uncover it. Chapter 3. The king's wing was a cage made of silk and silver. Sarah stood at the window of her assigned room, prison, her mind corrected, watching the sun rise over the capital. 24 hours since the council meeting where Lady Vivian had demanded her immediate execution. 24 hours since Darian had invoked an ancient law allowing him to delay any sentence pending investigation. He'd bought her time. A week, maybe 2 if they were lucky. Behind her, the door opened without knocking. She didn't need to turn to know who it was, the bond sang his presence like a chord struck on her bones. "You're not sleeping," Darian said. "Neither are you." Sarah kept her gaze on the city below. "How's the poison?" "Worse." She heard it in his voice, the strain, the exhaustion. Through the bond, she felt the corruption spreading through his veins like frost creeping across glass. "You need the counteragent," she said. "I need answers more." Sarah finally turned. Darian looked terrible, shadows under his eyes, skin too pale, a tremor in his hands he was trying to hide. The poison was accelerating, feeding on the stress of the council meeting, the incomplete bond, the constant proximity to her without relief. She crossed to her healer's bag, pulling out the vial she'd prepared at dawn. "Drink this. It'll slow the progression for a few hours." "What's in it?" "Yarrow, milk thistle, and just enough wolfsbane to counteract what's already in your system without making it worse." She met his gaze. "Trust me or don't, but you're dying, and I'm the only one who understands this poison well enough to manage it." Darian took the vial, studying her face. "Why are you helping me?" "I'm keeping you prisoner here. You're also keeping me alive. And protecting my sister." Sarah looked away. "Besides, I created this mess. Least I can do is try to manage it." He drank the mixture without further argument. Almost immediately, some of the tension left his shoulders as the counteragent took effect. "Better?" she asked. "For now." He set the empty vial down. "We need to talk about what happens next." "You mean my execution?" "I mean finding a way to break this bond without killing both of us." Darian moved closer, and Sarah's wolf stirred, responding to his presence. She fought it down, but not before he sensed it through their connection. "Your wolf wants me." It wasn't a question. "My wolf is corrupted," Sarah said flatly. "She wants whatever the poisoned bond tells her to want." "It doesn't mean anything. Doesn't it?" He was close enough now that she could feel his heat, smell the cedar and smoke scent of him underneath the sickness. "Because my wolf has been dreaming of you for months. Long before the ceremony. Long before you touched me." Sarah's heart hammered. "That's not possible." "That's what I thought too." Darian pulled something from his pocket, a small leather journal, worn and water-stained. "Until Marcus found this in my mother's private chambers. She kept journals. Detailed ones." He opened it to a marked page, and Sarah saw elegant handwriting, slightly smudged as if written in haste. "The girl came to me in a vision again. White blonde hair, pale eyes, winter frost scent. She's dangerous, I can feel it. The bond weavers always are. But she's also necessary. For him. For what's coming. I've tried to erase her from his dreams, from his memories, but the connection persists. Some bonds transcend even a weaver's power to break. Perhaps that means it's real. Perhaps it means it's doomed." I'm running out of time. The poison is spreading faster now, and soon I won't be able to protect him from what I've done. From what I am. If she finds him, when she finds him, he needs to be ready. He needs to remember what I've hidden, even as I work to make him forget. The wolfsbane is my penance. My protection. My prison. I pray it's enough. Sarah's hands shook as she read the words again. She knew about me. Years before we met. She knew more than that. Darian flipped to another entry, dated 15 years earlier. Read this. Today I felt another weaver awaken. A child, probably newly manifested. The bond between us sang across the distance, recognition, kinship, warning. Part of me wants to find her, teach her, save her from the mistakes I made. But I can't risk it. They're still watching, still waiting for any sign that the bloodline survived. So I'll do what I've always done. I'll poison myself a little more each day, suppress the gift, make myself useless to them. And I'll pray she's smart enough to do the same. The wolfsbane is bitter, but not as bitter as becoming what they tried to make me. She was protecting you, Darian said quietly. From people who would use your gift. People who used hers. Sarah sank into a chair, mind reeling. Who are they? Who was she afraid of? I don't know yet. But I'm going to find out. He crouched in front of her, forcing her to meet his eyes. Sarah, my mother died when I was 12. The official report said it was a wasting illness, but now I know it was long-term wolfsbane poisoning. She killed herself slowly trying to protect secrets she never got to share. What does this have to do with me? Everything. His intensity pinned her in place. Because yesterday, Marcus uncovered something else. Official records from 5 years ago documenting the destruction of the Silverpine village, your village. Sarah's blood turned to ice. According to those records, Darian continued, voice gentle but relentless, 37 people died in an Alpha's rampage. Including one Sarah Whitlock, age 17, healer's apprentice. There's even a death certificate with the village elder's seal. That's impossible. I'm alive. Are you? He tilted his head. Or is Sarah Whitlock actually dead, and the woman in front of me is someone else entirely? The room felt too small suddenly, the walls pressing in. Sarah stood abruptly, pacing. You don't understand. Then make me understand. Darian rose, blocking her path. Because right now, I have an Omega who claims to be someone legally dead, who created a corrupted bond with me using a gift that's supposed to be extinct, whose story doesn't match the official records, and who my mother apparently foresaw years before we met. So yes, Sarah, or whoever you really are, I need to understand. She stared at him, trapped between truth and survival. Through the bond, she felt his determination. His wolf wouldn't let this go. He'd dig until he found the truth, even if it killed him. Maybe especially if it killed him. Sarah Whitlock did die that night, she said finally. Along with everyone else in Silverpine. When Victor's rampage ended and the bodies were counted, the neighboring packs assumed I'd died too. It was easier to let them believe it. Why? Because the girl who survived wasn't Sarah Whitlock anymore. She was something else. Something that had killed 37 people with her ignorance and her gift. She wrapped her arms around herself. So I took a new name, moved to the outer territories, started poisoning myself. Became someone small and forgettable and safe. What was your new name? Does it matter? It's just another lie. It matters to me. She met his gaze, seeing genuine curiosity there. Not judgment. Not fear. Elara, she whispered. I took your mother's name. Because she was the only other weaver I'd read about, and she'd managed to survive by making herself harmless. I thought. She laughed bitterly. I thought if I followed her path, I could do the same. Darian's expression shifted, something like wonder crossing his face. You named yourself after my mother. I admired her. The text said she was powerful but chose peace. That she'd rather die than be weaponized. Sarah shook her head. I didn't know she was suffering. Didn't know the poison was killing her. I just knew she'd made it work for 20 years, so maybe I could too. Sarah, Elara, whatever your real name is. It's Sarah. I went back to it after a few years. Felt wrong to keep using her name when I understood what she'd actually sacrificed. A knock interrupted them. Marcus entered without waiting for permission, face grim. We have a problem, he said. Lady Vivian has filed a formal complaint with the council. She's claiming Sarah used dark magic to seduce you, and she's demanding a trial by the old laws. Darian swore. A trial requires evidence. She has evidence. Or claims to. Marcus glanced at Sarah. She's saying that the speed of the bond's formation, combined with the corruption detected in it, proves it was artificially created against your will. She's arguing that makes it rape under pack law. The word hung in the air like poison. Sarah felt the blood drain from her face. I didn't, I would never. We know, Darian said sharply. She's twisting the law to get what she wants. It doesn't matter if it's true, Marcus continued. Under the old laws, if the council believes a bond was forced, they can execute the Omega without trial. It's meant to protect alphas from being magically coerced into unwanted bonds. Then we fight it, Darian said. With what? She's technically correct, the bond was artificially created. Sarah admitted as much. Marcus looked apologetic. I'm sorry, but legally, Vivian has grounds. The council will vote tomorrow, and unless we can prove the bond was consensual or find evidence to discredit her claim. He didn't finish. He didn't need to. Sarah would die. There has to be something we can do, Darian growled. Through the bond, Sarah felt his fury, his desperation. The poison surged in response, spreading faster. He staggered, gripping the desk for support. Darian. Sarah caught him as he nearly fell. The moment she touched him, the bond flared, and she felt the full extent of the corruption. It had reached his heart, was spreading toward his brain. Hours. He had hours, not days. The counteragent isn't working anymore, she said, horror flooding through her. The progression is too fast. Something's accelerating it. Marcus moved forward. What can we do? Nothing. Unless. Sarah looked up at Darian, seeing the same understanding in his eyes. Unless we complete the bond. Fully. The bite, the claiming, everything. It's the only way to stabilize him now. No, Darian said immediately. You're dying. I won't force you into a permanent bond. Not when you're facing execution tomorrow. Better I die having saved you than we both die because you're too stubborn. This isn't about stubbornness. His voice cracked. Sarah, if we complete this bond and you die tomorrow, it'll kill me anyway. Losing a fully realized mate is fatal. You know that. She did know. True mates who lost each other rarely survived the grief. But corrupted mates? Who knew what would happen? Then we buy more time, Marcus said. I'll delay the council vote. Invoke some ancient procedure that requires investigation. Give us a few more days to find evidence against Vivian's claims. And in a few days, Darian will be dead from the poison, Sarah said flatly. They stood in silence, trapped by impossible choices. Then Sarah felt it, a shift in the bond, a foreign presence pushing through. Not Darian's consciousness, but something else. Something invasive. Her eyes widened. Someone's poisoning you. Right now. Through the bond. What? Darian straightened, but his movements were sluggish. Sarah closed her eyes, following the sensation. The bond was like a thread connecting them, and someone was using that thread to pump more poison directly into him. Vivian, she breathed. She must have an alpha with Weaver blood. Someone who can manipulate existing bonds. Sarah's eyes snapped open. She's using the corrupted bond against you, making it worse, so you'll die before the trial and she can blame me. Marcus went pale. That's assassination. That's strategy, Sarah corrected bitterly. Kill the king, blame the Omega who created the corrupted bond, take the throne through the arranged mate claim. Smart, really. Can you stop it? Darian asked. Not without completing the bond. Once it's fully formed, she won't be able to access it anymore. But as long as it's incomplete. Sarah shook her head. She can keep pumping poison through it until you die. Darian met her gaze, and she saw the decision forming. No, she said immediately. We don't have a choice. There's always a choice, and I choose not to doom you to my execution. Then I choose to save you first and worry about executions later. He pulled her close, and the bonds sang between them. Sarah, I don't care what name you use or what past you're running from. I don't care if this bond is corrupted or cursed or completely unnatural. What I care about is keeping you alive long enough to uncover the truth my mother died protecting. Darian. You said she foresaw us. Said some bonds transcend even a weaver's power to break. His hand cupped her face. What if this isn't a mistake? What if we're exactly what we're supposed to be? Or we're both cursed and too stubborn to see it? He smiled, tired and genuine. Probably that too. Through the bond, Sarah felt his conviction. His wolf rising, preparing to claim her despite everything. If I do this, she whispered, if we complete the bond and I die tomorrow. You're not dying tomorrow. If I do, promise me you'll protect Maya. Promise me she'll be safe. I promise. And promise me you'll find out what your mother was hiding. Why she foresaw us. What she was protecting you from. Sarah. Promise me, Darian. Because if I'm completing this bond, I need to know it meant something beyond just two broken wolves trying to survive. He pulled her closer, forehead resting against hers. I promise. On my crown, on my life, I promise. The bond pulsed between them, hungry and desperate and utterly wrong. But also somehow right. Sarah tilted her head, exposing her throat. Then bite me, Alpha King. Make this corruption permanent. Wait, Marcus interrupted. If you do this now, privately, Vivian will claim it proves her case, that you forced the bond completion. So we do it publicly, Darian said. Tomorrow at the council meeting, in front of everyone. Let them watch me choose her freely. That's insane, Sarah said. The moment you mark me, the council will see it as confirmation of her corruption claims. Or they'll see it as their king exercising his right to choose his mate. Darian's eyes glittered. Either way, it buys us time and stops Vivian's poison from killing me before the trial. It also makes me a target. Every wolf in that room will want me dead. Then we make sure they're too afraid to try. Marcus looked between them, then sighed. This is a terrible plan. You have a better one? Darian asked. Unfortunately, no. He moved toward the door. I'll arrange for the council meeting to be moved up. Dawn tomorrow. And I'll make sure every witness who might speak in Sarah's favor is present. What witnesses? Sarah asked. Everyone who knew what really happened at Silverpine is dead. Marcus paused, hand on the doorknob. Maybe. Or maybe the official records are lying about more than just your death. He left before either of them could question him further. Sarah turned to Darian. What did he mean? I don't know. But Marcus doesn't bluff. Darian pulled out his mother's journal again, flipping through pages. There's more in here. Things about the Weaver bloodline, about the people who hunted them. My mother mentions names, places, dates. If we can cross-reference. Darian. Sarah caught his hand. You need to rest. The poison. The poison is the least of my worries right now. It's literally killing you. And tomorrow I'm betting both our lives that marking you will stop it. He looked up, eyes fierce. So tonight, I'm going to read every word my mother wrote. I'm going to find whatever truth she died protecting. And tomorrow, in front of the entire council, I'm going to claim you as mine and dare anyone to challenge it. The conviction in his voice made her wolf keen with longing. This was dangerous. Not just the bond or the poison or the execution. This was dangerous because she was starting to believe him. Starting to think maybe, impossibly, this broken thing between them could be something real. Your mother was wrong, Sarah said quietly. About what? In her journal. She wondered if our connection meant it was real or doomed. Sarah met his gaze. It's both. We're real and we're doomed, and tomorrow we're going to make it official. Darian smiled, sharp and wild. Then let's make sure we're the most spectacular doom this kingdom has ever seen. He turned back to the journals, and Sarah watched him read, feeling the poison pulse through their bond with every heartbeat. Tomorrow they would face the council. Tomorrow Vivian would demand her execution. Tomorrow Darian would mark her in front of everyone and bind their fates together permanently. Tonight, she had to prepare a counteragent strong enough to keep him alive through the claiming ceremony. Had to calculate dosages that would stabilize without killing. Had to hope that completing the bond would somehow purge Vivian's poison instead of just locking them both into a death spiral. Through the window, the city sparkled in the darkness. Somewhere out there, Vivian was planning her next move. Somewhere, the people who'd hunted Darian's mother were watching, waiting. And somewhere in these journals was the truth about what Sarah really was, what the Weavers had been before they were hunted to near extinction. Why Darian's mother had foreseen her. Why she'd died protecting a secret she'd never gotten to share. Sarah pulled out her herbs and began mixing the strongest counteragent she knew. Her hands shook slightly as she worked. Because tomorrow she would become the Alpha King's mate. And the day after, if they survived the council, they would have to figure out how to break a bond that maybe, impossibly, dangerously, neither of them actually wanted to break anymore. Chapter 4. The war horn sounded at dawn. Sarah was in the royal armory, helping Darian into his ceremonial armor for the council meeting, when the first blast echoed across the capital. Then another. Then a dozen more, overlapping in discordant warning. Border breach, Marcus burst through the door, already armed. Multiple fronts. Blood Moon Pack from the north, Ironjaw from the east, and, he paused, face grim. Shadowcrest from the south. Darian went still. Shadowcrest hasn't moved against us in 50 years. They're moving now. Along with half a dozen smaller packs. Marcus's jaw tightened. Word of your condition has spread fast. They see the poisoned bond as proof of weakness. They're betting you're too compromised to lead. How many? Combined? Maybe 3,000 wolves. Marcus glanced at Sarah. They're calling you the poisoned Omega. Claiming you've corrupted the Alpha King to seize power. Sarah's stomach dropped. 3,000. Against Darian's forces of maybe 1,500 if they called every available fighter. The council, Darian started. We'll have to wait. Marcus was already moving toward the door. We mobilize now or we lose the borders. Once they breach the inner territories, it's over. Darian looked at Sarah, conflict clear on his face. I have to go. I know. The counteragent. Will last until tonight if you don't push too hard. She pressed a vial into his hand. Drink this before you shift. It'll stabilize you for a few hours. He took it, then pulled her close, pressing his forehead to hers. Through the bond, she felt his fear, not for himself, but for her. For what would happen when he left her unguarded with Vivian circling like a shark. Stay in this wing, he said. Don't leave, don't talk to anyone from the council, and for God's sake, don't let Vivian anywhere near you. I'll be fine. Go defend your kingdom. He kissed her, quick and fierce, then was gone, Marcus at his heels. Sarah stood alone in the armory, surrounded by weapons she wasn't supposed to know how to use. She counted to 100. Then she started strapping on leather armor. The stable master was a grizzled old beta named Garrett who'd served 3 generations of kings. He took one look at Sarah in full battle gear and shook his head. His Majesty will have my hide. His Majesty will be too busy fighting to notice. Sarah checked the buckles on her borrowed armor. I need a horse. Fast one. You need to stay in your pretty room where it's safe. Safe is relative when 3,000 wolves are trying to kill she caught herself. The king. Garrett studied her with sharp eyes. You know how to fight, girl. I was raised in Silverpine. Every child learned to defend the borders. It was true, as far as it went. What she didn't mention was that she'd been training since she was 12, or that her father had been the village's weapons master before he was a healer. Or that she'd killed Victor with her bare hands the night he massacred her village. Silverpine, eh? Something shifted in Garrett's expression. Heard about what happened there. Terrible business. The worst kind. Sarah met his gaze steadily. Which is why I'm not hiding in a tower while history repeats itself. Now are you going to give me a horse, or do I take one? Garrett sighed, then whistled. A dappled gray mare trotted forward. She's fast and mean. Bite you soon as look at you if you don't earn her respect. We'll get along fine. Sarah swung into the saddle, feeling muscle memory take over. How many years since she'd ridden to battle? 5? 6. Not long enough to forget. One more thing, Garrett called as she turned the mare. The king's forces are holding at Widow's Ridge. That's where the fighting's thickest. You ride northeast, you'll hit it in an hour. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just don't die. His Majesty's already half dead from that bond. Losing you would finish him. Sarah didn't answer. She just kicked the mare into a gallop and rode toward the sound of war. Widow's Ridge was aptly named. The battlefield was chaos, wolves in both shifted and human form clashing in a writhing mass of fur and blood and steel. The air stank of death and fierce sweat and the acrid bite of silver weapons. Sarah tied the mare in a copse of trees and moved forward on foot, staying low. She could see Darian's forces holding the high ground, but barely. The enemy had numbers and momentum, and they were pushing hard. She spotted Darian near the center, massive in his wolf form, black fur matted with blood. Not his blood, she realized with relief. He was fighting like something feral, tearing through enemy wolves with lethal precision. Then she felt it, the bonds straining, the poison surging. He'd been fighting too long, pushing too hard. The counteragent was failing. Damn it, Darian. Sarah drew the twin short swords she'd borrowed from the armory and moved toward the fighting. An enemy wolf spotted her, peeling off to intercept. Young, maybe 18, eyes wild with battle fever. She didn't give him time to attack. Her blade found his throat in one clean movement, learned from 100 training sessions with her father. The wolf dropped, gurgling. 3 more came at her. She danced between them, faster than they expected, her omega agility an advantage in close quarters. 1 fell. 2. The third got smart and backed off, howling for reinforcements. But Sarah was already moving, cutting through the chaos toward where she felt Darian's presence through the bond. She needed to reach him before the poison did. Then her gift flared. It came without warning, exploding outward in a wave that made every wolf within 50 feet stagger. Sarah gasped, dropping to one knee as power she hadn't felt in 5 years roared through her. The wolfsbane should have suppressed it. Should have kept it dormant. But the partial bond with Darian, the stress of combat, the life-or-death urgency, it was burning through her suppressants like they were nothing. And her gift didn't care who was enemy or ally. Bonds snapped. Sarah felt them breaking like threads under tension, mate bonds between enemy wolves, suddenly severed by her uncontrolled power. Not forced bonds. Real ones, sacred ones, gifts from the moon goddess herself. And she was destroying them. The wolves whose bonds broke screamed. Not in pain, but in loss, the agonizing, soul-deep severance of a connection that should have lasted a lifetime. Some collapsed, writhing. Others went feral, attacking anything near them, including their own pack mates. "No," Sarah whispered, horror flooding through her. "No, no, no." She tried to pull the power back, but it was too late. The damage was done. Mate bonds lay shattered across the battlefield, and the wolves whose lives she'd just destroyed were looking for someone to blame. They found her. A massive alpha in human form charged through the melee, silver knife glinting. The poisoned Omega. Kill her. Sarah rolled, barely avoiding the blade. She came up fighting, but more were coming. Too many. She couldn't fight them all, not while her gift was still spiraling out of control. Then Darian was there, shifting mid-leap to land between her and her attackers. Even in human form, naked and blood-covered, he radiated lethal power. "Stand down," he snarled. She destroyed mate bonds. The alpha with the knife shouted. "Against nature. Against the goddess. I said stand down." The alpha lunged anyway. Darian caught his wrist, twisted, and the knife clattered to the ground. Then Darian's other hand was at the wolf's throat, claws extended. "I am your king," Darian said quietly, dangerously. "And that Omega is mine. Touch her again, and I'll tear out your spine." The wolf submitted, going limp. Darian released him, then turned to Sarah. Through the bond, she felt his rage, not at her, but at the situation, at his own helplessness. "We need to get you out of here," he started. A howl cut through the battlefield. Not rage or pain, but something worse. Recognition. Sarah's blood turned to ice because she knew that voice. Had heard it in her nightmares for 5 years. The enemy forces parted like a tide, and through the gap strode a figure in black armor. Tall, broad-shouldered, with white blonde hair the same shade as hers and eyes that burned with mad devotion. Victor. "Hello, little mate," he said, smile sharp as broken glass. "Miss me?" He shouldn't have been alive. Sarah had killed him. She'd felt his neck snap under her hands, watched the light leave his eyes as her village burned around them. But here he stood, very much alive, very much present, and absolutely insane. "Impossible," Sarah breathed. "Is it?" Victor tilted his head, studying her like a puzzle. "You should know better than anyone that death is negotiable. For those with the right gifts." Darian shifted forward, putting himself between them. "You're leading this attack. I'm leading a revolution." Victor's gaze never left Sarah. "For 5 years, I've been gathering the unmated, the rejected, the wolves whose bonds were stolen or broken or never existed in the first place. Thousands of them, all hungry for what they can't have." He smiled. "And now I'm offering them hope. A weaver who can forge what the goddess denied them." "I'm not forging anything," Sarah said. "You will. Once you remember who you truly belong to." "I never belonged to you. But you created our bond. You touched me, looked into my soul, and made me yours." Victor took a step forward. Darian growled, but Victor ignored him. "That makes you my mate. My weaver. Mine. The bond was a mistake. I was 17 and stupid and didn't understand. Didn't understand that you were showing me my true mate?" Victor's expression twisted. "Oh, but you did. You showed me the bond that should have existed, the connection that was meant to be. And when I tried to claim it, when I tried to make it real, you ran. Destroyed everything rather than accept what you'd created. You killed them." Sarah's voice cracked. "You slaughtered my entire village because you went mad. I went mad because you rejected me after showing me heaven." He was shouting now, control fracturing. "You made me feel the bond, made me believe it was real, then ripped it away. You severed it before it could complete, and the loss drove me to..." He stopped, breathing hard. But you're here now. And this time, you'll finish what you started. Darien's power flooded the space between them. She's already bonded. To me. A corrupted bond with a dying king? Victor laughed. That's not a bond, that's a tragedy waiting to happen. I'm offering her a choice: complete the bond with me, the one she started 5 years ago, or watch you and your kingdom burn. Through their connection, Sarah felt Darien preparing to fight. Felt his wolf rising, ready to die defending her. She also felt the poison surging, accelerating. The battle had depleted him. He wouldn't survive another hour of combat, let alone a fight with an alpha as powerful as Victor. Don't, she whispered. Like hell. Darien, you're dying. We both know it. Sarah met his gaze, willing him to understand. You can barely stand. One more fight and the poison wins. Then one more fight is what I'll give. How noble, Victor interrupted. But ultimately pointless. You see, I didn't come alone, Your Majesty. He gestured, and from the enemy ranks emerged a smaller figure. Young, dark-haired, eyes wide with determination and something that looked like grief. Maya. Sarah's world tilted. No. Her sister stepped forward, chin raised. Hello, Sarah. Maya, what are you doing? What I should have done 5 years ago. Choosing the side that didn't abandon me. Maya's voice shook but held firm. You left, Sarah. The night the village burned, you ran and left me alone with the bodies. Left me to explain to the neighboring packs what happened, to face their accusations and their pity. I was 12 years old and you left me. I thought I was protecting you. You were protecting yourself. Tears streaked Maya's face now. You were so afraid of what you'd done, what you were, that you forgot about anyone else. You became a ghost, hiding in outer territories while I grew up alone. And then you came back, pretending to be some noble healer, never telling me the truth about what really happened that night. Maya, please. Victor found me 2 years ago. He told me everything. How you'd promised him a bond then broke it. How you destroyed his life just like you destroyed mine. Maya's hands clenched. He offered me something you never did. Honesty. A place to belong. A purpose. He's using you, Sarah said desperately. Maya, he's insane. He's honest, Maya corrected. Which is more than you ever were with me. Victor smiled, satisfied. You see? Your own sister chose me over you. That should tell you something about your so-called nobility. Darien's growl rumbled through the battlefield. This changes nothing. Sarah isn't leaving with you. Isn't she? Victor nodded toward the ridge, where his forces had surrounded Darien's remaining fighters. My wolves outnumber yours 3-1. Your borders are breached, your forces exhausted, and your king is poisoned. Surrender, Sarah, and I'll let your wolves live. Refuse. He shrugged. Well. War is war. You can't have her. I already do. Watch. Victor moved faster than Sarah expected, closing the distance before Darien could react. His hand shot out, wrapping around Darien's throat, claws extending. Silver-tipped. Poisoned. Darien choked as the silver entered his bloodstream, mixing with the wolfsbane already there. Through the bond, Sarah felt his agony, his system shutting down as 2 incompatible poisons warred in his veins. Stop. Sarah lunged forward. Let him go. Make me. Victor's eyes glittered. Complete our bond, break the one with him, and I'll release him. Refuse, and I'll pump so much silver into his system that even your corrupted connection won't save him. If you kill him, you lose any leverage over me. Do I? Victor smiled. Because I think watching him die would break you beautifully. Would make you desperate enough to do anything I asked, just to make the pain stop. He leaned closer to Darien, voice dropping. And once she's broken enough, once she's bonded to me properly, I'll have my weaver. My weapon. My way to give bonds to every unmated wolf who's sworn allegiance to me. Through the bond, Sarah felt Darian fighting for consciousness. Felt the poison spreading, his life dimming like a candle in wind. She had seconds to decide. Minutes at most. Complete the bond with Victor and save Darian. Or refuse and watch him die, along with his kingdom. There's a third option, Marcus's voice cut through the standoff. He emerged from behind Victor's forces, bloodied but upright. And he wasn't alone. Behind him came a procession of elderly wolves, elders from territories across the kingdom. Some Sarah recognized from her travels. Others were strangers. The Council of Elders invokes ancient law, Marcus announced. Under the Blood Moon Accords, any Alpha claiming a Weaver must first pass 3 trials. Victor of Shadowcrest, formerly Shadowcrest, as you abandoned your territory, has issued a challenge for the Weaver Sarah. Therefore, he must face the trials. Victor's expression darkened. The Accords are obsolete. Dead traditions from a dead age. They're the law, one of the elders said, a woman with silver hair and eyes like steel. And they've never been revoked. You want the Weaver? Prove you're worthy of her gift. Prove you can handle the power without destroying what you claim to love. And if I refuse? Then your claim is void, and Sarah belongs to whoever holds the existing bond. The elder's gaze shifted to Darian, still trapped in Victor's grip. The Alpha King, whether poisoned or not, holds the current bond. Refusal to face the trials is an admission that your claim is false. Sarah watched Victor's face, seeing calculations behind the madness. He could kill Darian now, take her by force. But the elders represented every major territory. Going against them would unite the kingdom against him, undermining the revolution he'd built. Fine, Victor said finally. I'll face your trials. He released Darian, letting him collapse. But when I win, and I will win, she comes with me. No more delays. No more politics. She completes our bond and breaks her corrupt connection to your dying king. Agreed, the elder said. The trials begin at moonrise. 3 tests to prove your worthiness. Victor smiled at Sarah, confidence radiating. See you tonight, little mate. Prepare to come home. He turned and strode away, his forces following. Maya lingered for just a moment, meeting Sarah's gaze. I'm sorry, Maya whispered. But he's right. You need to stop running from what you are. Then she was gone too, leaving Sarah standing over Darian's collapsed form. Marcus knelt beside them. We need to get him back to the palace. The silver. I know. Sarah was already checking Darian's pulse, feeling the poison raging through him. We have until moonrise. Maybe 8 hours. Can you save him? Sarah looked at the elder who'd invoked the Accords. The woman studied her with ancient eyes, seeing more than Sarah wanted to reveal. You're Queen Alara's son, the elder said to Darian, though her gaze stayed on Sarah. And you're her successor. The last of the Weaver bloodline, unless I'm mistaken. I'm nobody, Sarah said. You're the girl she foresaw. The one she died protecting. The elder moved closer. Alara was my friend. We trained together when she first manifested her gift. And she asked me, in her final days, to watch for you. To protect you when you emerged. You're a Weaver too. Was. Age and time have dimmed my gift to almost nothing. The elder touched Sarah's face gently. But I remember what Alara told me. She said you'd face an impossible choice, complete a corrupted bond to save a king, or face the truth about what your gift really does. What does it do? Sarah asked desperately. Because right now it's destroying mate bonds, and I don't know how to control it. That's because you're using it wrong. You've been suppressing it, poisoning it, trying to make it something small and harmless. The elder's expression hardened. But the Weaver gift isn't about forcing bonds, Sarah. It never was. Then what? It reveals truth. The elder stepped back. True bonds hidden by trauma, by lies, by fear. You don't create connections that shouldn't exist. You expose the ones that always did. Sarah's world tilted. That's impossible. Victor. Victor had a true mate. You showed him who it was. And when he rejected that truth, when he tried to claim a false bond instead, it drove him mad. The elder's voice softened. You didn't curse him, child. He cursed himself. Then who was his true mate? Someone he couldn't accept. Someone whose bond would have required him to be better than he was. The elder glanced at where Victor's forces had retreated. Someone he spent 5 years trying to replace with you. Sarah looked down at Darian, unconscious and dying in her arms. And him? Is our bond real or corrupted? That, the elder said gently, is what you'll discover tonight. Because the trials aren't just for Victor. They're for you too. To test whether the bond you've forged can survive the truth. She paused. 3 trials, 3 truths. By dawn, you'll know if what you share with your king is destiny or disaster. She walked away, leaving Sarah alone with Darian and the impossible choice ahead. 8 hours until moonrise. 8 hours to prepare for trials she didn't understand, to face an alpha who claimed she belonged to him, to discover whether the bond she'd created with Darian was the biggest mistake of her life or the only real thing she'd ever had. Through their connection, she felt Darian's consciousness stirring, fighting through the poison to reach her. Don't let him win, Darian's thought whispered through the bond. Whatever happens tonight, don't let Victor take you. I won't, Sarah promised. But I might have to let him try. Because she'd just realized something the elder's words had made clear. If her gift revealed true bonds instead of creating false ones, then the connection she'd forged with Victor 5 years ago had been real. Twisted and wrong, but real. Which meant somewhere in his madness was a truth she'd been running from. And tonight, during the trials, she would finally have to face it. Along with the question she'd been avoiding since the moment she'd touched Darian in that courtyard. Was their bond corruption or destiny? By moonrise, she would know. If they both survived long enough to find out. Chapter 5. The moon rose blood-red over Victor's camp. Sarah approached alone, as the terms required. Behind her, miles away, Darian lay in the palace recovering from the silver poisoning. She'd given him every counteragent she had, poured her own strength through the bond to stabilize him. It wouldn't be enough if this went wrong. Around her, thousands of wolves watched in silence. Victor's army of the unmated, the rejected, the broken. Their eyes gleamed with desperate hunger, not for violence, but for hope. For the possibility that a weaver could give them what the moon goddess hadn't. They were going to be disappointed. Victor waited at the center of camp, seated on a makeshift throne of twisted wood. Maya stood at his right hand, face carefully blank. When their eyes met, Sarah saw guilt there. And fear. Good. Maya should be afraid. You came, Victor said, standing. I wasn't sure you would. I came to end this. Sarah stopped 10 feet away, close enough to talk, far enough to run if needed. One way or another, tonight it ends. Agreed. He gestured to the elder who'd invoked the accords. She stood with 2 others, gray-haired and solemn. The trials are simple. 3 tests to prove my claim. 3 truths revealed. What kind of tests? The first, the elder said, is memory. The second is sacrifice. The third is choice. She looked at Sarah. Each trial will test both claimant and claimed. Victor must prove his worthiness. You must prove the truth of your gift. And if he fails? Then his claim is void, and you return to your king. And if I fail? The elder's expression was grave. Then the gift itself is judged corrupt, and the ancient laws demand your execution. Not for attacking a king, but for perverting the goddess's design. Sarah's stomach dropped. She'd known the stakes were high, but this. She won't fail, Victor said confidently. Because deep down, she knows our bond is real. That I'm her true mate, and she's been running from me out of fear, not wisdom. Then let's find out. Sarah turned to the elder. Start the first trial. The elder nodded, then began chanting in the old language. Power gathered, thick and ancient, pressing against Sarah's skin like honey. The trial of memory, the elder intoned. Let the bond reveal what has been hidden. Let the truth of first connection be shown. The world twisted. Suddenly Sarah wasn't standing in Victor's camp. She was in a memory, but not her own. She was seeing through Victor's eyes, feeling his emotions, experiencing his past as if she'd lived it. 5 years ago. A village square. Victor arriving with his warriors, seeking a mate. His wolf was restless, searching, but finding nothing. Then a scent caught his attention, winter frost and wild sage. He turned, and there she was. A young girl, maybe 12 years old, dark-haired and laughing as she helped set up for the harvest festival. His wolf surged with recognition, but he pushed it down. Too young. Inappropriate. Wrong. So he looked away, forced his attention to the eligible females. Pretended he felt nothing for the child who carried his mate's scent. Days passed. His wolf grew agitated, increasingly violent. He couldn't focus, couldn't sleep. The mate bond was there, calling to him, but he refused to acknowledge it. Then the healer's apprentice, Sarah, 17 and pale-eyed, offered to help. Said she could sense connections, could help him find his mate among the village wolves. He let her touch his hand, desperate for any answer except the truth his wolf kept screaming. And Sarah, young and untrained, her gift just emerging, had shown him exactly what he didn't want to see. The 12-year-old girl. Maya. His true mate. Not some invented bond. Not a curse or corruption. But the honest truth his wolf had known from the moment he'd caught her scent. And he'd rejected it with every fiber of his being. The memory shattered. Sarah stumbled back to reality, gasping. Around her, the assembled wolves murmured in confusion. They'd seen it too, the elder's magic had broadcast the memory for all to witness. No, Victor said, voice shaking. That wasn't. Maya, Sarah breathed, looking at her sister. You were his true mate. From the beginning. Maya's face had gone white. That's not possible. I was a child. True mates don't care about age at recognition, the elder said quietly. The bond simply is. What matters is how the wolves choose to honor it. Victor could have waited, could have approached your family honorably, could have let you grow up knowing you had a mate who would claim you when you were ready. She turned to Victor, expression hard. Instead, you rejected the goddess's gift. And when Sarah showed you the truth, you blamed her for your own cowardice. She forced the bond, Victor insisted, but his voice lacked conviction. She revealed it, the elder corrected. As is the true nature of a weaver's gift. We don't create bonds. We expose them. We show wolves what they're too afraid or too broken to see themselves. Murmurs rippled through Victor's army. Sarah could feel the shift, doubt creeping in, faith wavering. The first trial is complete, the elder announced. Memory has revealed the truth. Victor rejected his true mate, then blamed the weaver for showing him what he couldn't accept. That doesn't prove anything, Victor snarled. The bond with Sarah is still real. She still touched me, still created something between us. Created? Sarah stepped forward, and for the first time in 5 years, she let her gift unfurl without the wolfsbane suppressing it. Or revealed something you wanted desperately to be true? She reached for him, and Victor flinched but didn't retreat. Let me show you, Sarah said softly, what a weaver can really do. She touched his chest, and her gift flooded through him like light through water. Not forcing, not creating, just seeing. Seeing every bond, every connection, every thread of destiny that touched his soul. And there, beneath the madness and violence and desperate need, she found it. The truth Victor had been running from for 5 years. There was no bond between them. There never had been. What Victor had felt wasn't a mate connection. It was obsession, projection, the desperate attempt of a broken wolf to create meaning where the goddess had denied it. "You're not my mate," Sarah said gently. "You never were. What you felt was the recognition of my gift reflecting your own true bond back at you. You mistook the mirror for the thing itself." "No." Victor grabbed her wrist, grip bruising. "I felt it. The connection. The need. You made me feel it. I showed you what existed between you and Maya. What you felt was the echo of that bond, distorted by your refusal to accept it." Sarah didn't pull away. "And when I tried to withdraw, when I realized what I'd done, you went mad because you'd finally allowed yourself to feel the mate bond, and then lost it because you couldn't accept who it connected you to. Then give it back." Victor was shaking now. "Make it real. Force the bond. You're a weaver, you can create what the goddess denied me." "No," Sarah said. "I can't. And I won't." She pulled her power fully to the surface, letting it burn through her without the poison dampening it. 5 years of wolfsbane had twisted her gift, made it destructive instead of revealing. But now, clean and pure and properly channeled, it did what it was always meant to do. It showed Victor the absolute, undeniable truth. He had one true mate, Maya. And he'd wasted 5 years, destroyed a village, built an army, all because he was too much of a coward to wait for her to grow up. The revelation hit Victor like a physical blow. He released Sarah, stumbling backward, eyes wide with horror. "I destroyed everything," he whispered. "For a bond that didn't exist. For an obsession I mistook for destiny." "Yes," Sarah said simply. Around them, Victor's army was fragmenting. Wolves who'd followed him for the promise of forged bonds now saw the truth. Their leader was chasing a delusion. A weaver couldn't give them what they wanted. Couldn't create mate bonds from nothing. Could only reveal the bonds that already existed, hidden by trauma or fear or lies. "The second trial," the elder said, voice carrying across the camp. "Sacrifice. Victor, will you release your false claim and face the truth of your bond? Or will you continue chasing a lie?" Victor looked at Maya. Really looked at her, seeing her not as a child or a pawn, but as the mate his wolf had recognized years ago. "You're 12, he said numbly. 16 now, Maya corrected, voice shaking. "I've been 16 for 3 months. Old enough to feel a mate bond, if one existed. I didn't know. Because you never looked." Tears streaked Maya's face. "You used me as a weapon against my sister, convinced me she'd abandoned me, all because you couldn't face what you'd rejected." She moved closer to Sarah. "I'm sorry. I should have seen through his lies." "You were a child," Sarah said. "You're still barely more than a child. This isn't your fault. But I helped him. Helped him build this army, plan this attack. To get close to me. To bring me here." Sarah pulled Maya close. "You could have let him kill Darian. Could have stood by while he forced me to bond. But you invoked the Accords instead. That was you, wasn't it? You told Marcus to bring the elders." Maya nodded against her shoulder. "I couldn't let him hurt you. Even after everything, you're still my sister." Victor watched them, something breaking behind his eyes. "The trial of sacrifice," he said hoarsely. "I've already lost, haven't I?" "Not lost," the elder said. "Learned. There's a difference. What must I sacrifice? Your army. Your claim. Your 5-year obsession with a bond that never existed." The elder's voice softened. "Release the weaver. Face the truth of your mate. Begin the long work of becoming worthy of her." Victor looked at his assembled forces, at the thousands of wolves who'd followed him. "They came because I promised them bonds. They came because they were desperate," Sarah said. "But a weaver can't create bonds from nothing. We can only reveal what's hidden." She raised her voice, addressing the army. Your true mates exist. Some near, some far, some hidden by trauma or distance or fear. But I can't force them into existence. I can only help you find them. Then help us, someone called from the crowd. Don't execute her. Use her gift like it was meant to be used. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. The elder smiled slightly. The third trial. Choice. Sarah, weaver of bonds, what do you choose? Hide your gift as your predecessor did, poisoning yourself into uselessness? Or claim it fully, using it to help those who need it? Sarah looked at Maya, then at Victor, then at the army of desperate wolves. 5 years she'd spent poisoning herself, hiding from what she was. 5 years of slowly dying to suppress a gift that had never been a curse in the first place. I choose truth, Sarah said. No more poison. No more hiding. No more pretending the gift is something to be ashamed of. Power surged through her, and suddenly she was burning. The wolfsbane, 5 years of accumulated toxin, was purging from her system all at once. It felt like being torn apart from the inside, like every cell was on fire. Sarah collapsed, screaming. Through the bond, she felt Darian jolt awake miles away. Felt his terror, his desperate need to reach her. Stay there, she tried to project. I'm purging the poison. Don't. But he was already moving. She felt him shift, felt him running through the forest toward her despite his own weakened state. The purge intensified. Sarah's wolf emerged, white fur matted and wrong, the corruption burning away in waves of agony. She's dying, Maya gasped, dropping to her knees beside Sarah. The poison, there's too much of it, it's killing her. She needs her mate, the elder said urgently. The bond can stabilize her, but only if it's completed. Fully completed. Darian's too weak, Victor said. Surprisingly, he'd moved closer too, the madness clearing from his eyes. The silver and wolfsbane in his system, if he tries to complete a bond in his condition, it'll kill him. Then they'll both die, the elder said grimly. Through the pain, Sarah felt Darian getting closer. Felt his determination, his absolute refusal to let her go through this alone. Don't be stupid, she tried to tell him. You're poisoned too. We can't both. Together or not at all, his thought crashed through the bond. That's the choice. Always has been. He burst into the clearing in wolf form, massive and black and barely holding himself together. Their eyes met, and through the bond, Sarah felt everything he'd been hiding. The way he'd been slowly poisoned for years. Not by her, but by the council. Small doses in his food, his wine, meant to keep him manageable. Weak enough to need them, strong enough to rule. Only a true mate's bond could burn it out of his system. Could save him from the corruption that predated Sarah's touch by years. You knew, Sarah gasped. You knew you were poisoned before I ever touched you. Yes, Darian's thought came clear. I've been dying for 3 years. That's why I collapsed at the ceremony. Not because of you, because I'd finally reached the breaking point. Then I didn't poison you. I just revealed it. Just like you reveal bonds. He shifted to human form, naked and trembling but focused entirely on her. Your touch showed me the truth of what was killing me. And created a bond that could save us both, if we're brave enough to complete it. It'll kill you. Your system is too weak. Our systems are too weak separately, Darian corrected. But together? He knelt beside her, taking her hand. Together we might just survive. The elder moved forward. The bond between you, is it real or corrupted? Does it matter? Darian asked. Real, corrupted, forced, or fated, it's ours. And we're choosing it. It matters, the elder said, because if it's false, completing it will destroy you both. The goddess doesn't bless corrupted bonds, no matter how much the participants want them to be real. Sarah looked at Darian, seeing past the poison and weakness to the core of who he was. Then we need the truth. The full truth. She reached for him with her gift, not forcing or creating, just seeing. Looking past the corruption and poison to the bonds that touched his soul. And there, buried beneath years of manipulation and lies, she found it. A bond between them that predated the ceremony. That predated her return to the capital. That stretched back into childhood, thin and delicate but absolutely present. We've met before, Sarah breathed. When we were children. Memories flooded through, not Victor's this time, but Darian's. Memories his mother had suppressed, hidden, locked away. A boy of 8, sneaking away from the palace. Running through the forest. Coming upon a small village where a 5-year-old girl with white blonde hair was playing near the stream. They'd spent one afternoon together. Just playing, building stick forts, laughing. Nothing profound. Just 2 children being children. But their wolves had recognized each other. Had known, even that young, that this connection was special. Then Queen Alara had found them. Had seen what was forming, and in her fear, had used her gift to suppress the memory. To hide the bond before it could fully form. To protect them both from whatever she'd been running from. She knew, Sarah whispered. Your mother knew we were meant to be mates. That's why she foresaw me. Why she died trying to protect you from what? From the council, Marcus's voice cut through. He emerged from the forest, breathing hard from running. From the same people who'd been poisoning Darian for years. The ones who hunted Queen Alara, who hunt all weavers. He held up a leather satchel. I found this in the council chambers. Evidence. Correspondence. Plans. His jaw tightened. They'd been manipulating the bloodline for generations. Trying to breed controllable weavers who could forge political bonds on command. Your mother refused, Darian. So they poisoned her until she died. Then they started on you, keeping you weak enough to need them. And when Sarah showed up, Darian said slowly, when our bond began to form naturally. They panicked. Vivian's poisoning, the attacks, Victor's army, none of it was coincidence. Marcus's expression was grim. They orchestrated all of it to either kill you both or force you into their control. Sarah's vision blurred, the purge still raging through her system. Then completing our bond. We'll mark you as enemies of the council. They'll try to kill you rather than let a true mate bond break their control. Let them try, Darian said. He pulled Sarah closer. I'm done being controlled. Done being poisoned. Done pretending I'm weak so they feel powerful. Through the bond, Sarah felt his resolve. His absolute certainty. But the poison, she whispered. We're both dying. Not if I can help it. Maya stepped forward, face pale but determined. The third trial. Sacrifice. I know what I have to do. Maya, no, Sarah started. I'm his true mate, Maya said, looking at Victor. Which means we're connected, even if the bond isn't complete. And I'm young, healthy, unpoisoned. She met Sarah's gaze. I can take it. The poison from both of you. Transfer it through the mate bonds into myself. That'll kill you, Victor said hoarsely. Maybe. Or maybe I'm strong enough. Maya's smile was sad. Either way, I owe Sarah this. For 5 years of believing Victor's lies. For helping him hurt her. For not being brave enough to see the truth. You were a child. I'm 16. Old enough to make my own choices. Maya turned to the elder. The gift can transfer, can't it? Through mate bonds? In theory, the elder said carefully. But it's never been tested. The amount of poison in both of them. Then let's test it. Maya held out her hands, one toward Sarah, one toward Victor. Victor's my mate. Sarah's my sister, my blood. That's 2 different kinds of bonds. Together, they might be strong enough. Maya, you don't have to, Sarah tried. Yes, I do. Because you're right, I'm barely more than a child. But children grow up. And sometimes growing up means sacrifice. Maya's eyes shone with tears. Let me fix what I helped break. Please. Sarah looked at Darian. Through the bond, she felt his pain, his desperation, his fading strength. They had minutes. Maybe less. Do it, Sarah said. Maya took her hand on one side, Victor's on the other. The elder began chanting, and power swirled through the clearing like wind. Sarah felt the moment the poison began to move. It flowed out of her in burning waves, through the blood connection with Maya. At the same time, she felt it pulling from Darian through their incomplete mate bond. Maya gasped, body going rigid as the poison flooded into her. Wolfsbane and silver, years of accumulated toxin, enough to kill a dozen wolves. Too much, Victor said, holding her upright as she swayed. There's too much, she can't. I can, Maya gritted out. I have to. But Sarah could feel her sister's system failing. Could feel the poison overwhelming her young wolf, shutting down organs, stopping her heart. No. Sarah tried to pull back, to stop the transfer, but the elder's magic held her in place. The sacrifice must be made freely, the elder said. To stop now would waste what she's offering. Then give it to me, Victor said suddenly. The poison. I'm her mate, incomplete bond or not, we're connected. Transfer it from her to me. You'll die, the elder warned. I've been dying for 5 years. At least this way, it means something. Victor met Sarah's gaze. This is my sacrifice. My choice. Let me be worthy of her, even if I'll never get to claim her. The elder's magic shifted, and Sarah felt the poison flow change direction. From Maya into Victor, the corrupted alpha who'd spent 5 years chasing a lie. He took it all. Every drop of wolfsbane, every trace of silver, every ounce of corruption that had been killing both Sarah and Darian. When the transfer completed, Victor collapsed, convulsing. Maya caught him, cradling his head in her lap. Don't you dare die on me. Not after finally figuring out you're supposed to be mine. Bossy, Victor gasped, but he was smiling. Just like a proper mate. Can you save him? Maya asked the elder desperately. Maybe. If we work fast. The elder gestured to her companions. Get him to the healing tent. Use every remedy we have. He might survive if his wolf is strong enough. They carried Victor away, Maya following. And Sarah turned to Darian, both of them finally, impossibly free of poison. Now, Darian said, voice rough. While we have the strength. Complete the bond. Here. In front of everyone. Everywhere. I want every wolf in this kingdom to see me choose you. To watch me claim my true mate and dare anyone to challenge it. He pulled her close, and Sarah felt their bond thrumming between them, clean now, pure, everything it should have been from the start. The council will come for us, she warned. Let them. We'll face them together. He tilted her chin up. Sarah Whitlock, weaver of bonds, will you be my mate? My queen? My equal in all things? Yes, Sarah breathed. But only if you promise me something. Anything. Help me change the laws. No more hiding omegas with gifts. No more persecuting weavers. No more poisoning kings to keep them controllable. Her voice strengthened. Help me build a sanctuary where wolves like me can learn their gifts without fear. I promise. On my life, on my crown, on our bond, I promise. Darian's eyes glowed. Now bite me, Omega. Make me yours. Sarah bit him at the juncture of neck and shoulder, sinking her canines deep. Darian growled, returning the bite, and their bond exploded into completion. It felt like coming home. Like finding something she'd lost before she'd even known to look for it. Through the bond, she felt everything Darian was, his strength, his stubbornness, his absolute devotion. And she felt him experiencing her in return, all her fears and guilt and desperate hope that they could be better than what came before. We will be, his thought came clear. Together, we'll be better than anyone expects. When they pulled apart, both marked and mated, the assembled wolves erupted into howls. Not all of them approving, but most recognizing the truth when they saw it. This bond was real. Sacred. Blessed by the goddess herself, despite every attempt to corrupt or control it. The elder approached, smiling. Well done, both of you. Now comes the hard part. The council? Darian asked. The council, the laws, the centuries of persecution to undo. She looked at Sarah. You're the first weaver in 200 years to claim her gift openly. That makes you dangerous to everyone who's profited from keeping your kind hidden. Then they should be afraid, Sarah said simply. Because I'm done hiding. Done apologizing for what I am. She looked at Darian. We both are. He nodded. First thing tomorrow, we address the council. Expose their poisoning, their manipulation, their attempts to control both of us. Then we reform the laws. They won't go quietly, Marcus warned. I'm not asking them to go quietly. I'm telling them to go. Darian's voice carried the weight of command. Any council member involved in poisoning or persecuting weavers will be stripped of rank and exiled. The rest can either support the new order or join them. And if they fight? Then we fight back. But this time, we do it together. King and Queen. Alpha and Omega. Mates and equals. Sarah took his hand, feeling their bonds singing between them. After 5 years of poisoning herself, of hiding, of being afraid of her own power, she was finally free. And she was going to make sure every other weaver got the same chance. There's one more thing, the elder said. Victor. If he survives, what will you do with him? Sarah thought about the Alpha who'd haunted her nightmares for 5 years. Who'd been revealed not as a monster she'd cursed, but as a broken wolf who'd rejected his own mate out of fear. If he survives, Sarah said slowly, and if Maya chooses to pursue the mate bond with him, then he gets a chance. A real one. To be better than he was. She paused. But he does it far from here. Builds a new life, makes amends for the wolves he hurt. And never threatens my kingdom again. Our kingdom, Darian corrected gently. Our kingdom, Sarah agreed, smiling. The elder nodded approval. Wise. Merciful but not soft. You'll make a good queen. She turned to the assembled wolves. You've witnessed the trials. Witnessed the truth of the weaver's gift. Now choose, will you support the new order, or cling to the old lies? One by one, wolves began kneeling. Not in submission, but in acknowledgement. The poisoned Omega wasn't poisoned anymore. And the Alpha King had found his true mate. Together, they would burn the corrupt system to ash and build something better from the ruins. 3 days later, Sarah stood in the council chambers, Darian at her side. The council members who'd been involved in the poisoning were gone, exiled or imprisoned, their crimes exposed for all to see. The remaining members sat in stunned silence as Darian outlined the new laws. From this day forward, he announced, no Omega with a gift shall be persecuted, hidden, or forced to suppress their nature. Weavers will be honored as they were in the ancient days, teachers, guides, revealers of truth. He looked at Sarah. My queen will establish a sanctuary where those with the gift can learn safely. Any wolf who threatens them answers to both of us. You're changing centuries of tradition, one council member protested weakly. I'm correcting centuries of mistakes, Darian countered. The persecution of weavers was never about protecting the goddess's design. It was about controlling power you didn't understand and feared. His eyes hardened. That ends now. And if we refuse to support these changes? Then you're welcome to join the exiled, Sarah said calmly. But you should know, I've used my gift to reveal the true mate bonds of everyone in this room. Some of you have been rejecting your mates for political reasons. Others never knew their mates existed because they were too afraid to look. She moved around the table, placing a sealed letter in front of each council member. Inside are the names of your true mates. What you do with that information is your choice. But if you choose politics over the goddess's gift, don't expect anyone to believe you still serve her will. The council members stared at their letters, faces pale. We have a month to prepare for the coronation, Darian continued. Where Sarah will be formally recognized as queen and Weaver both. Use that time to decide if you're part of the new order or clinging to the old one. Choose wisely. He stood, and the meeting was over. As they left the chamber, Marcus fell into step beside them. Victor survived, by the way. Barely. Maya's staying with him in the healing tents. Good, Sarah said, and meant it. And there are already Weavers arriving, Marcus continued. Word spread fast. 3 came yesterday, 2 more this morning. All of them poisoning themselves, all desperate for sanctuary. Sarah felt her heart clench. Send them to the East Wing. Tell them they're safe now. No more poison. No more hiding. Already done. Marcus smiled. You're going to be busy, you know. Rebuilding an entire persecuted population. We'll manage, Darian said, pulling Sarah close. Through their bond, she felt his pride, his love, his absolute certainty that they could handle whatever came next. Together, Sarah agreed. They walked through the palace, past bowing servants and curious courtiers, out into the gardens where the autumn sun painted everything gold. Do you regret it? Darian asked quietly. Claiming your gift? Becoming queen? All of this? Sarah thought about 5 years of poison. 5 years of hiding in fear and slowly dying to suppress what she was. Then she felt the mate bond thrumming between them, clean and true and absolutely right. Not for a second, she said. And when he kissed her, with the whole kingdom watching, Sarah finally understood what her gift had always been meant to do. Not force or corrupt or destroy. But reveal. Reveal the bonds that fear had hidden. Reveal the truth that lies had obscured. Reveal the love that politics had tried to deny. She was a Weaver, last of an ancient bloodline. And she was done apologizing for it. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.